Hello, and welcome back to another video. If you're looking for recommendations on what manhwa to read, then here are some that I've read recently that might be of interest. Manhwa titles are timestamped in the video for your convenience. Our first manhwa for today is Level Up with the Gods, an action manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 125 on. Its main character is Kim Yu-won, an individual who is living in modern-day Korea but then gets sucked into the tower alongside the rest of humanity. As for why, of course nobody knows. He ends up going through the tower and is able to climb up to the top. There, he and his companions that stem from our mythologies and stories try to fight the outer gods, as they put it, but ultimately don't succeed. As the only way they can see to have a chance at winning, Kronos, the time god, can send one individual back in time. After some deliberation, they choose to send back Yu-won. Now with a new chance, he looks to grow strong enough within the tower to allow him to face the outer gods once more. The story is 9 out of 10. If you're a fan of mythological stories such as the Greek gods, the Indian deities, or the Morum world, then the story itself will be appealing to you. While mostly focusing on Yu-won's journey to become stronger, a lot of the events within the tower have some relation to some of our own world's mythology. Otherwise, be prepared for an adventure of struggle, perseverance, and sometimes out-strategizing his enemies as Yu-won moves forward. The characters are also 9 out of 10. As I've noted with the mythological stories, of course the characters come alongside it. To only spoil some of it though, you will see characters ranging from Sun Wukong to the Greek gods, all the way to the Indian deities. It's a wonderful time if you like these characters. The art is 10 out of 10. With these mythological characters and environments comes of course their illustrations. While you may not necessarily agree with some of the depictions of these mythological beings, it still provides a satisfying showing of said characters. This, plus the action that this manhwa actually focuses on, is the reason why I've been enjoying it so much. So if you're looking for a manhwa in the action genre but are interested in the mythology of our world and how they could potentially be depicted, then Level Up with the Gods would be a perfect one to start reading. This next manhwa is I'm a Part-Timer for the Gods, a modern manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 69 on. Its protagonist is Yoo Dam-duk, an individual living in modern-day Korea. Dam-duk complains about being unemployed and having to take a part-time job before being struck by lightning and miraculously surviving. The result is that he's able to see a status window. Now he can see the job postings from employers that turns out to be gods from more mythological tales. Think people like Poseidon, Hephaestus, and Thor. Will everything be alright as he takes on this job, or will there be other circumstances that pull him in other directions? The story is 8 out of 10. A journey that takes Dam-duk for quite a ride. There's clearly more than meets the eye here. The gods that are involved don't even seem to bat an eye at him considering they're their employer. Be prepared for some enjoyable scenes that evoke the essence of the mythological beings that it brings up. At least it's unique in that regard. The characters are 8 out of 10 as well. If you're a regular on this channel, you may have seen other manhwa titles that also bring in the mythologies of our society. This manhwa is yet another addition to that list. Of course, this doesn't slouch on Dam-duk's growth, but the mythology is clearly part of the main story. The art is 6 out of 10. While I have been quite positive in regards to its story and characters, the art on the other hand just isn't my style. There's something about it to me that just feels a little rough. But I can envision quite a number of people that do enjoy it overall. It does offer interesting interpretations though of the mythical beings that I've talked about. So if you're a fan of mythological beings like those of the Greek and Norse gods and want to see stories and other depictions of them similar to Level Up with the Gods from this video, and subscribing to the Transcendence channel or enrolling in the Transcendent Academy from my previous videos, then I'm a Part-Timer for the Gods would be a good one to pick up. A Dream Escape is the title of our next manhwa. It's a fantasy manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 50 on. Sonodor is the name of its main character. She's an individual known as an artisan, a people inside of this fantasy world who look like humans but have special powers and abilities. Due to others not looking at this type of mystical powers fondly, the artisans were conquered and then treated as second-class citizens by society. Sonodor in particular is what's known as a dream artisan. able to use her mystical power to enter people's dream to assist them in various ways. There's only one problem. She's now tasked with assisting the Crown Prince and through this becomes entangled with him. Will everything be alright, or will Sonodor have to face dire consequences? The story is 7 out of 10. With an interesting premise regarding the state of artisans in this society, having Sonodor be the one assisting the Crown Prince will surely cause the two to be infatuated with each other considering it's a manhwa. The journey, though, is like going through multiple stages of plays, and the situation overall echoes Sleeping Beauty in my opinion, of course with the roles switched around. The characters are 8 out of 10. Just from the fact that I've already listed A Dream Escape as a romance, you can probably tell where the story and characters are headed. But with Sonodor being an artisan, and of course them being seen as a lesser in society like I talked about earlier, this will be quite the road ahead of them if they go down this route. An almost forbidden romance, if you would. The art is 7 out of 10. With an art style that focuses on dream-like qualities and illustrates a lot of what could be perceived as the wanted dreams of others, it provides an aesthetic that is pleasing to the eyes but also has the potential to show the nightmares that one goes through while sleeping. So if you're a fan of the romantic fantasy genre and want to see an illustration of how both pleasant dreams and nightmares could be displayed, then A Dream Escape would be a good one to try out. Our next manhwa to go over is Even If the Villain's Daughter Regresses, a fantasy manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 24 on. The focus of this story is on Layla Hildegard, a mistreated daughter within a family of villains that faces death one day by a man that was thought to be dead but clearly has come back to take revenge. Before having her own life taken, Layla swallows a supposed stone of return, and as she wakes up, she realizes she's 10 years old again. This doesn't help her situation though, as she keeps getting hunted down by the same man, but each time she wakes up to be 10 years old again. Living life after life, Layla's own mentality is challenged. That is, until one lifetime, she shifts her idea about the whole situation and things finally begin to change. But is it for better or for worse? Well, I guess we'll find out. The potential is 9 out of 10. With Layla having lived multiple lives, you would expect at least one of them to be able to survive through this seemingly targeted attack, no? There must be something linking or somehow marking her to be able to be hunted down like this in multiple lives. This type of initial mystery is an interesting hook into the overall story. Of course, it's just beginning, so I'm curious to see what happens next. The art is 8 out of 10. The illustration of Layla's lives and overall frustration given this weird situation she finds herself in is quite good actually. The resulting desperation is warranted and overall shown well in Layla's expression and overall mood. The potential is there for other emotions, though. So if you're a fan of fantasy or regression genres, and particularly those where the main character goes through multiple regressions, plus you don't mind a lower amount of chapters to start with, then give Even If the Villain's Daughter Regresses a shot. Welcome to the highlight portion of today's video as we look at how one of the manhwas mentioned in a previous video is doing as I've continued reading it. Slight spoiler warning as we will be discussing the events in the manhwa since my previous opinion. Today's highlight is Overgeared, which I've now read up to chapter 257 on. Info card and description will have links to my original opinion. Since our last mention of Overgeared, Grid has been quite busy having to balance the multiple tasks on his plate. From trying to manage the kingdom alongside his friends and companions, both NPCs and players, to looking after his son, who seems to be getting quite the masters and romantic interests. This on top of the fact that he himself still needs to grow stronger and level up, has him running around like a madman. From trying to save the Siren Kingdom to his own kingdom being under the threat of war and the start of a new adventure in the Eastern continent. Clearly there is more in store for both Grid and the readers, and I'm in for it for the roller coaster that will most likely be. My previous scores for this manhwa were 10 out of 10 for both story and characters, while 9 out of 10 for art. The story and characters stay the same at 10 out of 10 as Overgeared has been able to balance progressing the overall plot of the world while also showcasing the growth of Grid, his NPC friends and family, and his guild, with some others also being teased here and there. Now, with Grid seemingly starting over again in the new Eastern continent, with some Grid-like mistakes to boot, there's now a lot more room to work with once again for both story and characters. The art goes up to 10 out of 10 as the scale of battles shown in the more involved kingdom wars, to put it simply, is well illustrated, while the theme of the Eastern continent and potential that comes from exploring this completely different landscape that seems to be quite the challenge already, considering that Grid is one of the first 50 people to arrive, spells a lot of freedom for him to roam again. Overgeared has been truly a treat for me to read through. It's one of the few manhwas that I've been able to read quite a bit of the original novel, not to completion to note, and it's been a pleasure seeing it being brought to life in manhwa form. I can't recommend it enough to those that love a good story and don't mind the game genre. Would you agree, or would you not? Comment down below your thoughts on Overgeared. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Write in the comment section down below what manhwa you've been reading and I might just take a look. Till next time though, have a good read.